All right, we're live for another Keeping It Real Masterminds. This is the 7th episode of 2015. I'm really excited today to have Bart Vickrey on. He's a Real Geeks customer. He's been a customer for, I don't know, a few years. And also he's a Vyral marketing customer as well. And after we go through his story and how he got to working working 4 days a week, selling 250 homes a year, he's going to share some of his successes. We're going to go over different lead gen stuff he's doing, different ROIs, and the numbers. So he's going to start we're going to dive in deep of how he's doing this and how he's, how much money he's netting and all that. But like I said, the topic here is working 4 days a week and selling 250 homes and actually taking back your life. Because I've been in real estate for, what, 22 years, since 93, something like that, 22, whatever, the 23 years. But I know, because I've lived it as well, you can get really consumed, especially early on in the business, and this business can just consume your life. You don't have a life, and then you lose your family, you lose everything else you're working for. And Bart's going to share that with us. But first I need to go over a few house cleaning items, or housekeeping items, to let you guys know how to get notified. And if in case this is the first time you've ever tuned into a Keeping It Real Mastermind, by the way, my co-host is Frank Klesitz, CEO of Vyral Marketing. We definitely could not be putting these on if it wasn't for him and his awesome team. They do all the behind the scenes and all the prep and everything, because I don't have the bandwidth to do that, but they definitely knock it home and hit a home run every time getting these ready, and it relieves a lot of stress and work on me. Anyway, if this is the first time you've seen these and you want to get notified in the future, you can go to keepingitreal.com, and that's ING, not IN, keepingitreal.com, and on the right side you can enter in your information, and we'll send you an email a week before, day before when we're live, and we'll also send a replay. We send everybody a replay that gets an email invite on these. If you got an email about this, you don't need to do that. You can also follow the Real Geeks Google Plus page, because anyone that's following the page, we send out an invite through Google Plus. You can follow the Real Geeks Facebook page, because we post all the events and the replays on there, and while you're there you might as well share and like the page. What the heck, if you're getting a lot out of these, share that page with your friends, okay? You can also subscribe to the Real Geeks YouTube channel, where we post all these, and I believe, depending on your setting, you'll get notified when we post the replay, okay? And like I said, I'm really happy to have Bart Vickrey on here. He's from Valparaiso. Did I get that right, Bart?
You did. That's awesome.
Yay! Anyhow, he's got a team, and his team sold 206 properties in 2014. And his goal this year is to sell 250 homes in 2015, only working 4 days a week and no evenings, right? Right, Bart?
Yeah, that's right. No evenings, no weekends, no Fridays. That was a crazy goal I set, and I'll kind of give you an idea why I set that as we go. Yes. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on. And you know what? What I really like about Bart and getting to know Bart, he really loves to learn, grow, but most of all, he likes to share with others like us. And that's the spirit of these masterminds, is to bring people on here, share what we're doing, what they're doing, and just try and help everybody, okay? So Bart, let's get going. I've talked enough. Can you, like when I was talking to you, told me about kind of the beginning of your early real estate career, and then the progression, and then what hit home to make you want to design your life to only work 4 days a week. So can you take us way back when you started?
Absolutely.
And walk us through that. I'm sure everybody would love to hear it, because we probably can all relate.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I will tell you this. Here's my story. It's sad but true. It's about a realtor that I once knew, because that's how I feel, from where I started to where I'm at now. I've made so many mistakes over the years, fallen down, gotten back up, kept going, and I know everybody watching this, because I love watching these. So again, I really appreciate you guys putting these on. Keep up the great work, and I know you never sell your stuff on here, and I appreciate that, but I'm going to vouch for both of you guys as we go, because you guys have both been instrumental in helping me create what is being created, So I'll even go a little bit further back. My parents divorced when I was young. My dad was an alcoholic, so he wasn't around a whole lot. But my brother and I, my older brother and I, we had a really good childhood. You know, from our perspective, we played a lot of sports. We had a great neighborhood, hung out, had a great time. Of course, got into mischief, all the good stuff. My mother worked hard to pay the bills, to keep us fed. She kept everything together. And of course, that is the foundation that I learned, was the hard work and do whatever you have to do to make it work. So fast forward 2 days after my high school graduation party, you know, the open house, my mother and stepfather sit me down and say, hey, now we're getting a divorce, but we wanted to wait until after your open house graduation party. So I was like, hey, I appreciate that. So my mother and I, we pack up all our stuff and we move across town into my aunt and uncle's double-wide trailer. You know, it was just amazing accommodations. And for that whole summer, my bedroom was the living room couch. So I would go to couch at night. I guess I wouldn't go into bed. I would go to couch at night and lay there staring up at the ceiling thinking, you know what? There's going to be more. There's going to be better for me. I know there is. I've watched my mother persevere. I'm going to do the same thing. So fast forward, I meet this incredible lady. She changes my life, and we decide, hey, let's get married. Okay, so in June of 1998, I buy my first house. In July of 1998, I get my real estate license, and in August of 1998, I get married. Okay, so it's like the trifecta. If you could do 3 life-changing, stressful things at once, what would they be? And that's kind of what it was. So we get married. I practice real estate part-time for about 1.5 years. So and I still, you know, you burn these things in your memory. I know all you guys have these same memories, these stories, and that's, you know, what makes us excited about the things that we're able to do if we keep persevering. So it was January 7th of 2000. Okay, and I'm ready to go full time. My wife is like, hey, you know what? If you're going to do this, let's pull out the safety net and let's go for it. So I'm with a Century 21 office. Great guy, great broker. I meet with him. I say, hey, Frank, I'm going to go full time, but I'm also leaving your company and I'm going to go across town to the rival Century 21 office, which was the #1 office in the county at the time. And Frank looks me in the eyes. He shakes my hands and he says, you know what, Bart? You're not going to make it 6 months over at that office. So I thought, oh my God, what did I do? Maybe he knows something I don't know, you know. So immediately I'm fearful. But then at the same time I think, well, wait a minute. I know I'm going to be able to make it. I'm going to do this. I made this decision. I've got the backing from my most important person, my bride. So I'm going full time. So that was a Friday. On Monday, I start my full-time career. It was January 10th of 2000. And I didn't get my first commission check until June 1st. So we had saved a few dollars. We burned through all those dollars, and now we started to accrue credit card debt on top of it. But I had some things going on. You know, I'm doing what a lot of agents do, which is just work, right? Work hard. Open houses all the time. That's floor time. I was there all the time. So floor time, agents wouldn't show up. They knew Bart was going to be there. I would take that happily, you know, and get on the phone with $20,000 lot buyers that had no credit and was trying to get a loan. But you fast forward, and so it's October of 2000, and you know, these are ahas that start to happen to me. October 2000, still broke, but working my butt off. We're in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm with the 4 most important people in my life. It's my bride, my 14-month-old daughter, who's now 15, my mother-in-law, and my mother. We're all together on vacation. And one morning we're walking along the beach, you know, the Atlantic Ocean, the breezes, everybody's having a great time except me, who is trailing behind on my, you know, the old plastic flip cell phone with the crooked plastic antenna, you know. So I'm on that, trying to keep one lousy deal together, because I had to keep one lousy deal together because I was broke. You know, every deal in that time counted dramatically. So there I am again. I'm staring at the 4 of them walking along. I'm supposed to be on vacation. All you guys I know can relate as to, you know, you're supposed to be on vacation or you're supposed to be with your family, but you're holding that phone up, you're texting, you're doing all those things. So I thought, you know what, there's got to be a better way. Go into a used bookstore while we're there, and I stumble across a great title. Got a prop here for you. And the title was Think and Grow Rich. If you could read that.
Yep.
Okay. This wasn't the actual one. This is a much nicer version, but it was a $2 used version of Think and Grow Rich. I grabbed that book because it had such a great title, started thumbing through it, paid the $2, probably borrowed it from my mother-in-law or something, but I read it while I was on vacation, and it changed my mindset. You know, it made me realize, hey, no matter how bad things are right now, which they were, I was in control of making it better. Okay, so we get back to town, put my head down, and just start working hard like everybody's experienced. And now, congratulations, Bart. Now you're working 6 and 7 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day. Okay, and then I remember this specifically as well. I'm in my office, Century 21, Valparaiso, Indiana. I was on the second floor, was where my office was, and it overlooked this beautiful, not parking lot. But I had just got done lending a client of mine, a former client of mine, $40 because he had a huge fight with his wife, ran out of the house, and he forgot to take his wallet. So he calls me up. It's on a Friday night. Of course, I'm the only one in the office as usual. 8:30 Friday night. Lend this guy money, and then I'm sitting there watching him get back into his car, and he stops and he pees in the parking lot. You know, I don't know if you need to edit that out, but I was watching this and I'm thinking, what in the hell am I doing? It's 8:30 on a Friday, and I'm witnessing, you know, the destruction of humanity right in front of me. So right then and there, I'm like, okay, the reason that I'm working so much is because I'm doing it all. You know, I'm a solo act. I'm a one-man show. I certainly didn't think that I could afford assistant at that time, but I made a list of everything I did, which, of course, as you guys know, the list that we do as real estate agents is enormous. And then I started categorizing them based on their dollar productivity and their dollar value. Okay, and then I realized, like all agents realize, or they should realize at some point, is we spend most of our time when we're solo agents, we spend most of our time doing 8 to 12 an hour work. So right after that, I get the guts, of course, backed again by my most avid fan, my wife. She says, go for it, hire somebody. So I started with somebody part-time, and within a year, my business had doubled. Okay, so then at the end of 2003, I hire my first buyer's agent. Okay, and then we start to make money. We build on things. We're working on the database. You know, I'm being coached by Brian Buffini. Things are going well, but I did what most people do when they start to make money, and then we started to make a lot of money, which I started to spend a lot of money. And I remember specifically 2005, I made $509,000, and I remember at the end of that year talking with Stacy, and I said, where the hell did all that money go? You know, we had a blast, don't get me wrong, we had a blast with it, but we spent nearly all of it. You know, of course, a big chunk goes to taxes and living expenses, but we were ratcheting up our living expenses, and we were certainly ratcheting up our business expenses. So we get to the point where in 2008, I've got a 4,200 square foot home on 40 acres, Corvette convertible, a BMW, a second home in Bonita Springs, Florida, right? Living the dream. That's what it's sold as, right? The consumerism is sold as living the dream, and I was buying every bit of it, because when you're broke, all that you think about when you're broke is making money. And then you think that's how we're supposed to live. So I was living the life that I thought others wanted me to live, and of course I thought I wanted to live myself, but what I felt all the time at that during that was this pressure, this weight. It was like you know, I've got this beautiful couture vest on here. It was like a lead vest that I was carrying around at all time. And then it hit me pretty hard in 2009 when I sold 72 homes, and I made right around $100 net. Okay. So the year, that's what I said that later. At the time, I didn't say that. It was like it knocked the wind out of me, you know. But I wasn't paying attention to my profit and loss. I wasn't paying attention to my marketing and what I was spending. I wasn't holding anything specifically accountable. Things had grown. The market contracted. You know, I went from selling, you know, over 100 homes a year to down to 72, and apparently that's where all my profit was. So I work all year. I make $100. Everybody else gets paid, which I'm completely fine with. They did all of their work. I go to a real estate conference in 2010, And in the lounge in the hotel before the conference started the next day, I meet this guy. He kind of looks, interesting to me. He's like a cross between like a James Altucher, if you guys know who he is. That you don't know, you got to look that guy up. Just a side note. Frank is a great writer for everybody out there, content copywriter, and James Altucher is a great writer that you guys need to look up. Just a side note. I know I'm talking a lot. Anyways, I see this guy and he's wearing a shirt that says $1 Billion Agent. I'm like, I read that book. So I walk up to him, introduce myself. I say, yeah, I see your shirt there. I read that book. And he says, well, I'm the author of that book. My name's Steve Cantor. And I'm like, okay, Steve, nice to meet you. So the next day, Steve and I go to lunch, and this guy is just dropping bombs on me. He's like a genius. He's telling me all these things, and he said a couple of things that just really hit home at that moment. One was, all right, Bart, there's only 4 things that you should be doing. 1 is meeting with buyers, sellers, and sphere of influence. 2 is marketing to buyers, sellers, and sphere of influence. 3 is calling buyers, sellers, and sphere of influence. 4 is other. And you should have others doing the other. Okay, that made perfect sense to me. I have a team. I needed at that time to get a little bit back to basics because I didn't want to repeat 2009 and make another $100. And then the other thing he said to me was, you need to track everything. Everything that goes on with you and your team, your daily activities, the number of calls made, the number of people that answer the phone, how many leads you generate. It was at that moment, you have that where things hit you at the right time. And Steve hit me at the right time with those things. And after that, I created a tracking sheet. I now call it the Real Estate Good Life tracking sheet. I call it that for my team's purposes. But they use this now. I used it when I got back home and started to get back to basics, started to really pay attention to my profit and loss. And kind of changed my mindset at that time. Think and Grow Rich, different things have molded me and changed me along the way. Okay, so now it's around August of 2010, and I stumble across this brilliant young man. His name's Jeff Manson. And he has this company called Real Geeks, okay? So I look him up, and I send him a message, and he, calls me. And I'm like, what? This guy calls me. He says, I'm the CEO of the company. What are your questions? So I said, this is what I'm looking for. He goes, well, that's great, because that's exactly what we do. I said, fantastic. So we have this IDX site. We set it up. It's like it's great with SEO. There's a lot of features involved. And I'm not a tech guy at all, but he's explaining it very well to me. So I implement it immediately. We do our own pay-per-click with it. It has a brilliant back-office CRM. Again, I told you guys I'm going to plug you guys because you guys never do, but I can from first-hand experience. I wanted to share with you guys a few of the statistics that I have with regard to my relationship with Real Geeks and Jeff Manson. Started in 2011. Okay, so we get things rolling in 2010. I don't even know how an internet lead works and the best practices. Jeff's kind of really helping me out along the way with that. So in 2011, we get things running pretty well. We do $92,017 in gross, okay? And then gross is always gross. We don't know what that is. Like, I grossed a lot of money in 2009, but I netted $100 stinking dollars. So net after split. So net after split was after my buyer's agents was $48,769. My expense for that year was $89,000, which leaves a net of $39,869 from my small investment with Real Geeks. Okay, 2012 we jumped to $166,388 in gross, $91,722 after agent split, $7,800. So our expenses even came down that year. $7,800 in expenses, $83,922 in net from that one lead generation system. Okay, 2013, $158,900 in gross, $82,628 after agent split.
Well, hey Bart,
yes, sir.
Bart, can I just ask a question? So those nets you're given, that's net personally to you, and that doesn't include the net to the real estate agent, their commission, right?
Right.
So they're actually making money on top of that. They're netting a good
So I'm
portion
giving
of
you
that.
gross, and then the net after split is my commission or my
Your
company's commission.
personal net, but your real estate agents are actually making money off that as well, netting money off that as well.
Right. They're on these are around 50%, depending. We got a couple of ones that we call golden nuggets. We can get into that if you want.
Sure.
But,
okay. All right. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. So 2013, 158,900 gross, 82,628 company split after agent split, 6195 in expense, or number came down again, and 76,433 my net after everything, after agent split, after my expense. Okay, then 2014, last year, we jump up to $196,739 gross, $102,528 net after agent split, $89,14 in expense, and then a net to the company, me, $14. So that I wanted to share because it's important for me to express to you guys how grateful I am that, you know, the stars align. You know, these things happen. It's taken many years for these things to start to formulate, but they have, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate what you guys have done, and I've got some interesting things because Frank and I, our paths didn't cross until December of last year. So Jeff and I have a much longer history, but I've got some interesting things I want to share.
Well, yeah, I think with the audience is here, they hear the numbers and everything's great. I mean, how did you accomplish that with the Real Geek site?
Okay.
Why don't you just tell us how you accomplished all that business with the Real Geek site?
Okay, so Real Geeks for us is very simple. You know, it's a brilliant IDX site, CRM. The back office of it is amazing. Okay, so what we do is we put our pay-per-click ads in all of the neighborhoods, all of the towns, all of the cities, all of the counties that are in our marketplace with specific keywords, and we try to work very strategically with the keywords. You know, I speak with Google, I talk with them, I have a representative there.
So you're doing your own pay-per-click.
We are doing our own pay-per-click, but it's very simple, not easy, but very simple after you get it set up and you start to learn a little bit about, you know, their statistics and their tracking, and they're very helpful over there. Because
where did you go to learn? I mean, someone opens up a Google AdWords account for the first time, and it has to be completely overwhelming. Where did you go to learn these things to figure this out?
Well, I just went to the Google AdWords. I looked at it myself, and then I contacted them, and they called me back and kind of walked me through it and talked it over.
Google.
Yes, Google.
So Google will actually set those up for you. And we also have in our docs, because we encourage our customers, we offer PPC management, but we encourage our customers, they can go get a third party or do it themselves if they have admin and stuff. But we also, in our docs page, we did a webinar on how to set it up and how to get tracking code, set that into support so you can actually analyze it better and find out what keywords are converting. So we actually did a how-to. So we want to empower our customers, and I'm not trying to make this a commercial. It's because Bart's bringing it up. But we try to empower our customers to be able to do it themselves if they want or have their own staff, okay?
I like how you had the campaigns very specific to niche areas.
Yes, and it works. And I think it's an extra layer that a lot of agents don't think about if they are working on their own pay-per-click, because anything can be searched, and that's what you have to think about is what is the buyer looking at? What am I putting into the search box that I'm looking for? And you know, and Google has great analytics on all of those things. Keyword help, all of that is available. And what I've seen, or what's going on with Real Geeks with me and my experience, and it's been almost 5 years now, is everything keeps evolving. It's getting better and better. From when I was a first client to where I am today, just watching what went on is amazing. You know, for me or for my team to be able to see when exactly people signed into the site, all the homes that they looked at, specifically the times that they clicked on them, any of them that they favorited, any questions that they asked, and then every other time that they come back to the site, there's a great feature on there that you click on it and it shows you the people that were most active or recently active. And it could have been someone from a year from now, but if they're on the site right now, that's an absolute clue for one of my team members to call them. And we do very easy scripting when it comes to making these phone calls back, because we're trying to just get a dialogue started, which of course is always the key to anything we're doing with a real estate lead, is what type of genuine rapport can we build? We make it all about them until they ask about us, and then we happen to be experts at what we do. So, the site is amazing. I appreciate it very much. Our statistics.
So the site was a big change for you to work 4 days a week. I mean, that was a big aha for you as far as working less.
For sure.
How has the Real Geek site helped you work less if now you have to do all this business? I would assume you're rounding this off to buyer's agents and it's more passive. That's
a great question, and it is just like that. So, okay, great. Now you're producing a lot of leads and a lot of business. Now you're working a lot. So at this point, I'm still, I'm back to working a lot more because I didn't want to make $100. So I am working a lot more. I'm still, though, not working with buyers. I gave up buyers around 2005-ish. I've dabbled in it. I may work with one a year if it's a past client that I really like, a friend, family member, whatever. But I try to send everybody through the team because my confidence in the team is so high. They're incredible people. They make my life incredible. So
how many buyer's agents do you have, and what's their splits? Could you share it with us just a little bit on the buy side of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have we have 4 full-time agents and then 3 part-time agents. And I use the word buyer's agent, but I really don't call them that. I call them production agents because and this is counterintuitive to what a lot of agents do, and I'm not saying what I'm doing is right. I'm just saying it's what we do. They all list homes as well, okay? And I do have within that group specific people where their personality type meets more congruently with listings and with sellers. So I send my listing leads directly to them, but they're all able to list with their sphere of influence database, expireds, FSBOs, whatever they want to do, and I train them and we coach and we role play and all of those types of things. But as far as, to get back to the question of, well, how did this help you work less? I'm still not working less yet. I'm actually starting to work more, but it's with listings. But as far as what Real Geeks does for me is there's a couple different settings on there that distribute the leads without me being involved at all. Because what I am, if I'm working 4 days a week and I'm coming in between 11 and noon, sometimes later, and I'm not saying that's right, I'm just saying that's what I do, then I don't want to be the bottleneck for leads. I used to do it that way. I wanted to kind of see them all, and it was exciting for the emails to come in, and we get caught up in those things. But then when you realize that, okay, I'm wasting a lot of time forwarding emails, forwarding leads, the system has several different options. You could weight them. You can send them out just one-on-one, one-to-one type of round robin. You can have specific areas that specific people get leads in, so it's really incredible, okay?
So the leads just flow to your buyer's agents, and you're out of the process now.
Yes, and then they track them, and we talk about them.
Okay. So after the Real Geek site, let's move on to the other things that you built. So the Real Geek site was the first big aha for you.
Yeah.
What's next? Now you're working listings.
Yeah, so late in 2010, I do put in a direct mail expired campaign. Okay, it ends up now it's up to being 15 pieces long, and
15 steps.
Yes, 15 steps, and it sounds ridiculous, but
over how long?
It's 15 weeks, so it's one a week for 15 weeks, and it's 12 postcards, 3 sales letters, and they're mixed in there. Okay, but I, like you, Frank, and Jeff, I love marketing. I love copywriting. That's exciting to me. I don't want to be on the phone. I never really did like being on the phone. Again, I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm just saying that's what I do. I'm good on the phone, but it doesn't mean I want to be on the phone. Yes, Jeff loves to be on the phone.
I love being on the phone, by the way. I used to love calling the expires, but anyway, it was a game.
Yeah.
But anyway,
no, and I agree, and it's a great way to hone your skills. And so in 2000, I got some statistics on the expired marketing campaign. If you want to hear them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So 2011 is the first full year with the expired marketing campaign, and we grossed 87,000, and then net after split was 87,000 because I went on all of those listings. My expense was 12,000, so my net, okay, after all expense was 75,000. Okay, 2012 we grossed $99,134. Net after split was 83,017. So a couple of those listings I gave up those appointments. 10,836 in expense, and what that expense is, it's everything. I account for it all: the postage, the actual pieces,
what about the labor?
And then with labor, okay, so I have 3 staff members on my team, one of which is basically all real estate. I have one that handles all of our rentals, so she's property management mainly, but then she does projects for me, and one of the projects is she handles the expireds. Then I have one that counts money for different businesses. We own a Dairy Queen as well. Don't ask me how we got into that, but so she handles the books for all 3 companies, and she's a very close family friend. So that works out well. So not all 3 of them are just real estate specific. Okay, so 2012, $83,017 net after split, $10,836 in expense, which is everything, $72,181 in net. Okay, 2013 we do $141,836 in gross, and then we had 97.
Gross of what? Are you just talking about the expireds?
Yes, just expired.
We're talking the expired numbers right now.
Yes, and then
program.
And the reason that I have this on here specifically is, so I've been licensed since 1998. The only other experience I had with expired listings was I bought a program back in like 1999 from, I think it was Craig Fort, and it was for expired listings, and I paid $147 for it. And so I went out and got a bale of hay and these little cardboard boxes and over to the sewing supply store, Joanne Fabrics, here, that used to be here in Valparaiso, and I got these big needles, the dull ones, so people wouldn't hurt themselves, some yarn, and then these little pieces of cardboard. So I tied the needle with the yarn to the cardboard, and then I stuffed the hay in the box with the needle, and the little card said, "Finding a good real estate agent is like finding a needle in a haystack." And that was my only experience with expired marketing. So I sent out 59 of those. My wife and I sat on our floor. I know I'm going back a little bit, but
that's all right.
We sat on our floor, did that, sent them out one time, got 0 listings from it, one phone call that said, "Don't ever send me anything ever again." And I say that jokingly because the point with any of these types of things, as you guys know, is if I would have kept sending those things, I would have gotten listings. That's the beauty of real estate. Anything will work. I've got a couple guys on my team that we almost had them talked into going to a busy intersection of a popular neighborhood with one of those plastic kid houses that you get at Toys R Us, and then having their heads stick out, and then when somebody stops at the stop sign, they give them a flyer to one of the listings we had and their business card. And as goofy as that sounds, of course, as well as we know that would work too. At some point, somebody would say, "Hey, I'm thinking about selling my house." So that's why
I was going to ask you, the audience, how much does it cost to send these 15 whole sequence? What's the cost of that with postage and printing?
The whole cost for the 15 is about $16.12, because the postcard.
How many expireds a month are you starting on that campaign?
That's a good question.
Well, he's going over the net. He's making, so you're netting some money. You're netting some pretty good money from this.
No doubt.
I want to know the volume. I mean, just how many are we talking expireds are you mailing to make that?
Yeah, we're probably mailing. I just did a list today because we use RedX, which a lot of people use, so that brings it to me. One of my assistants bring me the list. I look it over, and I put a PC by the ones that I want the system to start with. Okay, that stands for postcard. And it takes me about 3 minutes to go through the list, maybe less. I put it back on their desk, and they pop it into the program. I should have printed out my spreadsheet. I got a whole spreadsheet that shows every category and how many are going out, and that's how we track all the expenses. It's a lot. We're spending $1,000 a month on everything.
How many listings are you doing this per month?
Probably, I would say 3 or 4. So
okay.
It doesn't sound like incredible. A lot.
No, that's really good. I mean, there's so many agents calling expireds. I mean, it's competitive. And
so you're not calling it all, though?
I don't call expireds at all.
Just imagine while you're sending, if you actually sick somebody to call these with all these, you could probably triple that.
And it's true, because in the very beginning, so in around that time when I was shaking things back up and decided I'm not going to just make $100, I did sit down and made those expired calls every day religiously, probably for 6 months, and that's what kind of blew us back into business, if you will.
Yeah, because it works.
It does work, absolutely. And I'm not saying we don't call expires. I have people on my team that will call them. they just didn't. They don't necessarily call them as consistently as I did during that time, but they do a very good job on the phone. And as you said, because of the exposure of the marketing materials, it's like our foot is in the door, right? So when that phone call comes, if they do take our call, we certainly have a better opportunity to get an appointment, because all we're trying to do is get an interview for the job, you know. And
well, it's great. The buyer leads are passive. That's a passive thing you get going with the buyer lead generation, not time involved.
Right.
And you got the passive marketing of the letters to expireds, which I think a lot of people are just amazed that someone replies.
I really think if you went after it and followed up just a little more aggressively, you could probably 3 or 4 times that.
You're probably right.
But then he wouldn't be working 4 days a week.
Real.
No, I'm not going to do it. But somebody, I can get somebody.
Yeah, I would get somebody on that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's next? What's next after expireds? What's the next?
Let me give you a quick split on those, because again, I don't go on those listings at all anymore. I don't go. Listings coming from my sphere of influence through the database, whatever. I farm them all out to the team. Okay. I may go on 1 or 2 a year. You know, it's only been 2 years now that I've been doing it this way. But I do a 25 and 35% split to the agents, and then the house keeps the rest, because you know we have all the expenses. So I know you wanted to talk about splits as well. So basically we're around 50-50 on buyer leads, unless they're a golden nugget, which can go all the way down as low as 25% to the buyer's agent, because we know, just like a come list me lead, hey Bart, come on over, list my house. We know those are sure things. We also have those buyers, of course, right? With all the years that I've been in business, that has occurred. So those are paid at a lesser commission, because as we all know, the agents, you know, and any buyer's agents on the call here, you know, just earmuff it real quick, but we definitely do overpay buyer's agents when it comes to what their split is. So at some point, you know, I've talked over the years about showing agents, and I know some agents do that.
I got a quick question. So you're giving these numbers 50-50 on certain ones, and then if they're just certain buyers, these agents are probably listening, going, and you're paying for all their expenses. You cover everything expenses for your team, correct?
Yes, everything.
Okay. All right, I want to make it, because I actually had similar splits, and then they're probably thinking, oh my God, I would never work for that. But can you give some figures, like what some of these agents that are working for you, they're actually what they're netting and taking home with after all expenses, because they don't have any expenses, what they're actually making?
So 4 full-time agents, 3 part-time. Out of the 4 full-time last year, 2 of them made 6 figures. 1 of them made $170,000. This year, my feeling is all 4 of them will be in 6 figures, and then hopefully start to move one of those part-timers into full-time. Not sure that's going to happen in 2015, but that is certainly on the horizon. Because again, and I'm about to get to where I really had the other aha of, now I got to focus on my team and make them everything that I can, instead of just focusing on me.
Right, and so I just want to hit that home again, because they're probably going, oh my. So his team members are making really good money, and how many days a week are they working?
Well, they're working whatever their schedule they want to work. Okay, but I did have an agent make $104,000 last year, and she, as far as I know, didn't work any Sundays. Okay, and then she has a son that plays a lot of sports. He's a great athlete, and you know how these kids, the sports are like year-round now, so she is involved in that continuously. So she has a pretty good schedule, pretty good life, and she has her own assistant as well that I help with. I help train. She's access to all of our training materials and systems that we built for my assistants over the years.
All right. So now you're clipping along, and you got this thing working. So where did you have the aha? Was like, okay, because you said you're still working a lot of hours. So when did you have that aha? Like, this is great. We're making all this money. We're back on track. But this isn't any way to live.
Right. Okay.
Is that what you wanted to transition into?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Let's do it.
And you know, it's personal, but I'm happy, and I want to be, and this is something that I've started to learn over the years, is to be more authentic, because whoever we are inside, that's who we should be. You know, and for many years I was being who people thought I should be, and that wasn't working for me. So December 9th, 2012, my bride and I were in Mexico on vacation with another couple. It's the first night, and we're getting ready for bed, and we're both had a few cocktails in us, and Stacy looks over at me with tears in her eyes, and she says, "Should we get a divorce?" And it hit me like a 2x4 right upside the head. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned, and the D word had never even been uttered in our marriage, not even jokingly. It was just like, to me, it was completely out of the blue. So I was certainly taken aback. I was speechless. We spent, the next several hours of that night, talking and crying and crying and talking. And really what it came down to was I was still so involved, even though I was already starting to work less hours, mentally I was still consumed by it. And you guys know that those things can happen because I enjoy it. I enjoy the business of real estate a lot. I enjoy reading books about business. I enjoy these videos. I enjoy webinars, going to conferences, all of those things. But I was still taking phone calls from team members at night, at the dinner table and things of that nature, or while we're at a restaurant. And what it basically boiled down to was Bart was just thinking about Bart, and Stacy was just thinking about Stacy, and we were not communicating. So, like I always tell her, she's everything to me. She is more important to me than my kids are, because without her, they never would have been there. And she supported me from day one, when I was completely broke, and she's still there by my side. And like I tell her, if she ever leaves, I'm coming with her, okay? So at that moment, the rest of the vacation, I'm thinking of, okay, I got to completely change the way that I do business. I get back in town, and I tell her, okay, I got a goal for 2013. The team's going to sell 150 homes, and I'm going to work no evenings, no weekends, and no Fridays. And then she looks at me like, okay, Bart, I've heard all kinds of stuff before, so we'll see. So I work on that. We go through January, went on 0 appointments, February, 0 appointments, March, 0 appointments. I'm like, this is going to work. And we keep working. And what I did differently, which was dramatically different, was I turned my attention completely on my team. Because even when, as what we call the rainmaker, I was still busy being essentially a solo agent on a team, right? The team just happened to be mine. So I was on my phone calls. I was on my appointments. I was doing my marketing. And on occasion I'd help them put out a fire, but I really wasn't helping them grow as agents and more importantly, grow as people. So I wanted to get to know them better on a personal level. What are the real goals? People have, when it comes down to it, the money goals start to move down to 2, 3, 4, and 5 once you start to get to know people and realize that there's a lot more to it than that. So that's what I worked on. That's when I started having them use the tracking sheet, and we renamed it to the Good Life tracking sheet because that's what we were trying to create. I told them exactly what my plan was. Here's what I want to do in my life and in my business, and in doing so, here are all the benefits that you are going to have. So we get to the end of the year, and as you guys know, miraculously how goals can be, we sell 151 homes, and I work no evenings, no weekends, no Fridays. So, okay, what can we do now?
And your marriage is probably in good it's
and we took 12 weeks of vacation. So that part alone, with the kids, those are always our best moments, being on vacation with them, captive, electronic devices put away. Those things, you can't ever put a value on them because they're priceless. So we get into 2014. I've learned, and my wife has taught me these things because I'm the wild, the crazy man. I chase the magical unicorns, and and I'm waving at the mermaids. That's me, and she's the opposite. So she's the one that has always built all the systems into the business. She has always tried to keep me anchored, but now she has certainly had my attention more, and she was right. I needed to focus more. I needed not 97 things, 97 strategic objectives. I needed 2 or 3 with the top one. So we entered 2014 with really one, and that was finally to put a printed monthly newsletter into the business, which we did in January of 2014. And this is, I know it looks, like I made it, because I did. My wife and I created the template. I write the main article. Okay, it goes out every month. It's printed. We started with 500 people, and now we're over 1,000 strategically of the people that received this. And I studied newsletters. in order to
Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy, exactly. And it was Dan Kennedy who was telling me for years that I needed to send out a printed monthly newsletter. And a quick couple plugs for Dan. Here is a great book. I know Frank's probably read this, The Ultimate Sales Letter. Okay, that's incredible for marketing. Here's another one, the No BS Direct Marketing. It's an incredible book. I mean, these things changed my life. You know, incrementally, you keep adding these things together. If you're paying attention, then your life will change dramatically. So we put in this printed monthly newsletter. You got a topical, or not? I shouldn't say topical. It's basically a from the heart type of article, and then pictures of me and the family, little, captions. I try to be funny from time to time. Very little about real estate. We have a trivia question every month, and it's usually something from the 80s or 90s, which was, when I was paying attention to things that I could write trivia questions about, and the responses have been unbelievable. It was probably 2 months in, and Stacy and I were at the YMCA working out one morning, and a gentleman approaches me that I've never met, and he puts out his hand. He says, "Hey, are you Bart Vickrey?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Bart Vickrey." He shakes my hand. He says, "Hi, I'm David Howe. You mentioned my wife's name in one of your newsletters. She was a teacher of your daughter Maya, and she happened to be a teacher that, really was a kind of a educational, life-changing for my daughter Maya, and she really enjoyed this teacher. So I had mentioned her in a heartfelt article about in first grade when they told us that Maya might be learning challenged, and we were like, no, we know who she is, and she's been a straight A student ever since, but it was the teacher, Mrs. Howe, that had opened things up for her. So this guy comes up to us, introduced himself, saying how much he appreciated it, and the way that I felt, I was like running around the track on cloud 9. I think I had run the fastest I had run since 6th grade. But to give you an idea, and this is crazy, so in 2013 we sell 151 homes. We put in the printed monthly newsletter. We start adding people strategically to the list. And in 2014, we sell 206 homes, working no evenings, no weekends, and no Fridays. So now I'm still going. I know I've said a lot of words, and
No, we love it. We love it.
And if I faint, from lack of oxygen, just call somebody.
Well, look here. I mean, what people have to know is you got the buyer site passive working. You got the expired direct mail campaign going out every single day, the 15. We talked about you have the monthly print newsletter.
Right.
What's the next layer for passive lead?
So, and just to kind of what we already had with the database, we did okay. We did better than most, I would say, in that I would send a monthly Buffini letter. I did that for years, okay? But it's canned stuff. It's not nearly as effective as authentic. And Dan Kennedy continuously told me that until I finally made that change. But with that, we ramped it up, and we call it now altogether proper communication. Because I know I'm not going to call them, so I need something else that is considered one-to-many. Like Frank and I talked about, prospecting's one-to-one. You get on the phone and you call one person. Marketing's one-to-many. So I'm much more interested in marketing, and so I've tried to hone my skills and learn as much as I can in that. So what we do is we send out the printed monthly newsletter, then we send out a New Year's, spring, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and birthday card. Okay, and we do all of that with send-out cards. You guys are probably familiar with send-out cards. It's been a great company for us. They do basically all the work. Once you put everything in, put everybody's birthday and all those things in, send-out cards does all the work. It has a handwriting font that looks like you wrote it yourself. So that has worked amazing. Fast forward, December of 2014, we're going to be rolling into 15. My wife, of course, threatens me with, you can only take one strategic objective into 2015, and I listen, right? And so I keep hearing a recurring name of a company, Vyral Marketing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to check these guys out. So I look into it, I'm watching videos, and this guy, Frank, he's like, this guy seems pretty interesting. The stuff he's saying resonates with me, and I could feel, we
were taught by the same people. I've read all the books you have. Everything.
Right, I can feel that. We go to college to learn, but we don't learn anything. So then we have to figure out how to learn stuff on our own. So the things you were saying was really hitting home to me. So I hire your company, and I got to tell you, Frank, and this is just me being real, because we're keeping it real, right?
We're going to keep it real.
everybody that I have dealt with at your company has been phenomenal. Leah, Scott, everybody has been amazing, and they've always done what they said they're going to do and then some, which is something that rarely occurs these days. So I wanted to share this, so maybe Frank will blush. January 12th, 2015, Frank's company sends this email out.
Let me see that email. Hold on up there.
Can you read that? Or you want me to read a little bit of it?
Oh, that's the Google the magical seller lead generation email. Type magical seller lead generation email into Google, and you'll get that.
Magical is the perfect word, okay?
It is magical.
So this email then connected to it was basically about a free home evaluation. All right, 2015 is going to be a great time to sell. If you're interested in knowing what your home is worth right now in this market, click this link. Well, that link then took them to my Real Geeks seller evaluation page, which it's just beautiful the way it looks. I feel like when I show people, I'm like, look what I have, look what I made. I did nothing. So it went to it, and here's what happened. So 72 leads from this one email, 72 leads, 13 listings, and this is still going on, mind you. Okay, this just went out in January. 4 pendings. Out of those 4 pendings, it's $23,595 in commissions, and then still on the board with those listings remaining for us to sell directly from this campaign is $51,425 in commission. Okay, but like I said, I don't really call people. I don't call people. I prefer marketing. So what I did, I wanted to test an idea with those leads because it was like, Christmas after Christmas. So I sent out a sales letter in this bag, and you guys could get this bag at, I think it's 3dmail.com, right, Travis Lee?
3dmailresults.com.
3dmailresults.com. Okay, and I'm only plugging his company because he's done phenomenal for me as well. This bank bag cost me $1.10, I think. So I send out a sales letter, very simple, better than risk-free offer, have all that stuff in there. A few days later, send out our pre-list packet, okay, which is amazing, right? Because it's filled with well thought out and genuine copywriting and content from the heart stuff from someone that has been, I've spent over $100,000 on conferences, audio programs, books, coaching. All of that stuff is all accumulated where it started to come out in a genuine way. So it's from me, and that was the results, those amazing numbers. And again, that thing's still going on. Who knows how many more listings we're going to get from that, because of course we're going to continue to market to them.
So how many listings did you get out of that again?
There was
72 leads, and then how many listings?
Yeah, 72 leads and 13 listings. And then out of those listings, we've got 4 under contract currently.
Awesome.
That are pending.
I got to brag a bit. What that is for anyone watching is that at Vyral you send your 2 educational videos a month out to your database. Everyone knows that. And then about 2-3 times a year you send out like a direct offer saying, hey, come get a value report, and here's why. And I write those emails, and we send them out for all the clients. I put 4 hours of writing that email.
Is that right?
4 hours of painstaking word copysmith writing, 10,000-hour rule of copywriting into that.
That's brilliant.
It's so awesome to hear that, man. So, if anyone's interested, I put it up for free online. Seriously, Google Magical Seller Lead Generation Email. That's the winter 2014 version. The summer one should be coming out in a couple weeks.
Great. I'm excited. I can't wait. And when I got the email, I actually read it first. So you'll be proud of me there as well and appreciate it.
So Bart, did you guys do any outbound calls to these leads, or we
did. So we started with the direct mail, and then we followed up with the calls.
Okay, good. So
yeah,
there was
absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
We got a ton of questions, guys.
Yeah, let's hit some questions.
Give us an overview of those postcards, that expired campaign. People are really interested in those 15-step postcards.
Yeah.
So do you have a sales letter, or at least maybe the postcards in your office? Maybe you can hold a couple up, or give us an idea of what's on those, or what the messaging is.
The messaging, they're across the office. I should have had those. Actually, I thought.
What do they say? Give us an overview of what they say.
We say it all, okay? So we don't. What we try to do is, and my approach has always been, because it's my personality, is I'm never going to attack the other agent. Whoever the other agent was, I'm never going to say, they were bad, they did a bad job. I want to talk about them, okay? They were going somewhere, right? There's somewhere that they wanted to go, that they had their house on the market, and they elected to use an agent, okay? So it's just, again, it's the copywriting. But with that, there's a lot of testimonials. Okay, so some cards are just testimonials. Here they are from the third-party endorsement. It was a pleasure working with Bart Vickrey Real Estate, and it was a lot of them are specific testimonials that we gathered from former expired listings that we sold their home, so they can speak directly to. We had our home on the market with 2 other companies for a total of 586 days. Bart listed our home and we sold it in 27 days. Whatever. We do a lot of testimonials. Okay, with the sales letter. The first sales letter, I have a guaranteed sale program. Okay, it's soldin89.com. People can check that out to just see what it looks like. I created it with Optimized Press. You guys probably have heard of that. And it's very simple, but the 89 days is upfront and forward. All it requires from them is we do an upfront appraisal from a third party. It's a $395 marketing deposit, but that deposit is giving back to them if we don't sell their house, okay, and it's a credit back to them at the closing from their commission. So then another sales letter towards the end is kind of like an irresistible offer. You got the letter, call me now within the next 5 days, and I'm going to give you this. Free moving day dinner up to $100. Whatever it is. We make irresistible offers just like you would learn in the Dan Kennedy No BS book. So make sure you get that and read that. And again, anything that I showed you, if anybody wants copies, email me, bart@bartsellshouses.com. I will send you
a lot of emails.
You're going to get a lot of emails.
No, okay, let me take that back. Only email me if you're going to use it. And here it is. Here's what I'll do. I want to send it to you in a Word document, so all you have to do is copy it. That's it. Because it was a lot of work putting the template together, but it has to be your authentic information, because that's the key to it. That is absolutely a key. And when I created a local mastermind group with agents in my marketplace, and it was bizarre to them, like, what in the world? Nobody's ever done anything like this, and why would you do that? Because I want to share all of these things that have helped me save my marriage, have a great life, live life, with my kids most of the time. Because I'm going to say something now that's really counterintuitive, and you may have to edit this part out. I'm not going to swear or anything, but I love this business, but I don't necessarily like the job. That's not too harsh, right?
You're an entrepreneur.
That's it. That's the key to it. I could be doing anything. This just happens to be probably the greatest small business opportunity in the world because the margins are there and the leverage is there. Sorry, I'm talking. I'm so excited. I'm just talking.
No. Well, I'm so excited.
Couple more quick questions. I want to get a few more simple questions, and you got a couple sentences answers. Is the only CRM you're using Real Geeks?
No, it is not. I use Top Producer. Top Producer is our main CRM. So we build our entire expired campaign into it, so that we put in a seller address, press a button, and then that goes as a task to my assistant that handles the expireds, so she knows which letter or postcard to send to this batch of people. So that's in and automated. We do all of our listings, the tracking and everything else through Top Producer. We've used Top Producer for years. And here's what I say about CRMs, because people ask me about that all the time. Use the one you have. I mean, that's the main one to use.
Is the expired direct mail campaign, did you write the whole thing yourself and come up with yourself, or did you get it from somewhere else, or at least have something to model on?
Yes, I absolutely had something to model on. I got my original idea and campaign from Kinder Reese, okay? And then I took what they had and I put a lot and mostly my own copy into it. At first I just sent their stuff out. Then I said, you know what, I could write stuff that might seem more like me, so then I've done that and worked with a graphic designer to put my stuff into it. But it was their brilliant idea of the direct mail campaign, and then I built onto it. I think theirs is 10 long or so. So I built onto it and put my own copy into it. And it's not as hard as it sounds. Just do one at a time.
2 more questions. What company do you use to print and mail the postcards? You just do that in-house?
No, it's not done in-house.
And they drip them out for you?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. How
do you fulfill the mailing? What's your mailing fulfillment?
Yeah, that's still kind of antiquated. So we have a company that produces the postcards for us, and then they mail them to us in big boxes, right? Then we have all the boxes in our storage room here in the office, and they're in bins labeled, which week they are. And my assistant that handles our property management, she also handles the expired. So she personally puts the postage on. We shove them through the machine, and we send them out. And that's still antiquated, so there's at some point that will maybe go out, but it was because I wanted to know to the penny what this thing was costing us. Because the first 6 weeks we did it, I was $6,000 in and had $0. So I've got to answer to my bride as far as return on investment.
A good resource for anybody who wants to automate postcard drips, sendpepper.com. You can check that out, Bart.
Taking notes.
Let's see here. What's your AdWords budget?
AdWords budget is incredibly surprising how low it is. It's $500 a month.
And you get all those leads off $500 a month. Any organic SEO you're doing?
Yes, we do get a decent amount of organic, but it's not. Well, I wouldn't call it organic. It's my personal website, my branded website, is also a lead capture site. But we drive a lot of that with, we've got a Craigslist campaign that probably made us close to $100,000 last year that is associated with ProQuest Technologies. If you guys know who Gary Elwood is, it's like everybody thinks Craigslist is dead. It's not. Everybody thinks 800 numbers are dead. Absolutely not. A lot of people in my market used to use them. Now it's next to none. I still use them, and they still work great. So, there's other things we can go all night if you want, because I'm so excited.
I get one more question to wrap it up, and we'll get back to James, because I guess you got off tangent on the buyer-agent split commission. Can you share that with us?
It's the buyer-agent split?
Yeah, what's your buyer's agent commission split?
Okay, it's 50-50, all right? And then there's other levels. So there's what I call a golden nugget, which is 25-75, 25 to the agent, and then 75 to the company, okay? And then I also, though, I have within the plan, and I don't want to overcomplicate it, but when they get to a certain point, and then it's their sphere of influence that they're working, and they create the lead, and they show me the path, they can get up to a 70% split on their sphere of influence. Because, again, I want them calling all these other types of leads, but I want them to build the foundation of their business as well, which is always going to be the database. That's great. Jeff, let's wrap it up.
All right. Hey, I just want to thank Bart for coming on again. You're fabulous, man. I just love this. I'm just sitting here going, all right, great. Yeah, he shared so much. So much content. So people are going to have to probably replay this a couple times. But I wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing all your personal stories as well. I think that probably hit home with a lot of our audience. And I know we've all been there. It may not have been, hey, we're going to get a divorce, but we've all been there like, hey, you're with us, but you're not really with us, right? It's real easy to get caught up in that in the real estate business where you're stepping out on the phone, you're supposed to be on vacation. So I really want to thank you for coming on here and just being, you and sharing, because I think that'll help some other agents like look at themselves and go, okay, what can I do to get my life back and change? And I'm hoping it'll help a lot of agents. So I want to thank you for coming on here and being like just so real, I appreciate it, and that's the name of it, right? Keeping it real. I really, both of you guys are fantastic people on top of having fantastic companies, and I really appreciate that. You guys have helped me out dramatically. Yeah, and I also want to thank you for all the kind words. Anyhow, so we'll see you next Keeping It Real. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but we will be sending you out emails. And thanks a lot for coming on. And I want to thank Frank and his team again. And we'll see you next time. Aloha. Cool. I'm posting a link to that. I'm posting a link to that email as well as Bart's email address if you guys have questions. All right.